girls, we are going to continue learning about perimeter today. Do you remember yesterday when we read the story Perimeter on www.getepic.com? Yeah, I remember too. So we are going to do some more perimeter practice today. But before we get started, I want you to look at your desk. You should have a book in front of you and a bunch of paper clips. What I want you to do is I want you to take each one of your paper clips and I want you to trace out the outside of your book. Go ahead and put paper clips right next to each other all of the way around your book. Okay, I'm doing that as well. It looks like I might need some more paper clips, and if you do too, just let me know. It doesn't have to be perfect, but make sure it's pretty close. Okay, looks like I just need a few more paper clips. Perfect. Okay, what you're going to do next is you are going to count all of those paper clips up. I want you to count 2 times to make sure you get the same number. I'm going to count mine first. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28. Oh, you can't really see that red one, but there's a red one right here. I'm going to count one more time. I have to remember that I started up here in my top left. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28. All right, got the same number twice. So that means that it's 28 paper clips all the way around my book. And you know what we just found? We just found the perimeter of my book in paper clips. All right, I'm going to give you guys a couple minutes. Go ahead and finish up yours. Count around your book to see how many paper clips yours is. And at this point, I would give the kids time to finish that and discuss with a partner. We would also discuss whose is bigger, whose is smaller, who has the most paper clips, who had the least amount of paper clips, did anyone have the same, and then we would discuss the different sizes of books. There are many different ways to find the perimeter of something. Sometimes it might be super easy and sometimes it might even get tricky, but it's always like a puzzle, and it's one of my favorite types of math to do. So we're going to do some practice together. Let's start easy. Let's start with a rectangle. Let's pretend our rectangle is 6 here, 4 here, 6 here, and 4 here. And when we are talking about rectangles, we know that opposite sides are the same length. And that's always true when we're talking about rectangles. If it's not true, then it's not a rectangle. I like to always put a little dot where I like to start, and I'm going to start adding up all my sides. So actually, let's change colors. Let's make it a little colorful. So let's start here. Let's start going around our shape. We have 6, 4, 6, and 4. All right, we ended up right where we started, so that means we're done. Now, when we were counting our paper clips, we were adding up all the sides. So that's exactly what we're going to do. We're going to add up all of these sides. Remember, when we are adding more than 2 numbers, we want to find numbers that make 10. That's the easiest way to do it. So 6 and 4 I know make 10. I have another 6 and 4. That also equals 10. What's 10 plus 10? It's 20. So we know that the perimeter of this shape is 20. Okay, let's try another shape. Let's do a shape with some extra sides. So now we have this weird shape. Let's say that their sides are 4, 2, 6, 4, 4, and 8. So now this is where our problems start to get a little tricky because we have lots of numbers to talk about. All right, I'm going to start my top left like I always like to, and let's start going around our shape. 4, now we have to go down, plus 4, over, plus 2, down, plus 4, over, plus 6, up, and we're back to the beginning, plus 8. Now, like I said before, I like to find things that equal 10. Well, I know that 8 plus 2 make 10. 6 plus 4 equals 10. And then I have 4 plus 4 left over, which is 8. And now this problem is the same as this one. It just looks a lot easier to solve. So we have 10 plus 10 is 20, plus 8 more is 28. So the perimeter of this super weird shape is 28. Sometimes you might see a shape that has side lengths missing. You might see a shape that looks something like this. It only has 2 side lengths. Well, remember when we were looking up here at our first problem, we know that opposite sides of a rectangle have the same length. So if this side is 10, this side is also 10. If this side is 2, this side is also 2. Let's go ahead and count all the way around our box. Let's start up here. Let's go over. We have 10 plus, let's go down, 2 plus over to 10 and back up to 2. Okay, let's see if we can make any 10s. Well, we already have 2 10s. So let's just add those down here, 10 plus 10. And then we have 2's left over. Well, we know 2 plus 2 is 4. So we have 10 plus 10 plus 4. 10 plus 10 is 20, plus 4 more is 24. The last thing you might see that with a perimeter is something pretty similar to what we've been working on, but there's one thing that's very different. Let's use a triangle at this time. So not only does this one have numbers, but it has these 2 letters too. Does anyone remember or does anyone know what these 2 letters represent? They represent inches. Good. Yes, so sometimes when you're doing perimeter, since you're finding the lengths of things, you might see things such as inches, yards, feet, miles, meters, centimeters, and like over here, inches. Okay, you want to make sure you always use your label. Make sure to always use your label because we need to know. We know that this perimeter is 3, 6, 9. 9 inches, that's only about this much. If we didn't put our label, we could be thinking 9 miles. That's a lot more, so we need to make sure to have a label. Some of these, like the ones up here, will not have a label, and that's okay, then you don't need a label. All right, I'm going to split you up into groups of 3, and I want you to go find an object in your house or in the classroom, get your ruler out, and I want you to measure the perimeter all the way around your object. It doesn't just have to be a rectangle. It can be a triangle shape. It could be a rectangle. It can be anything but a circle. Everything has to have flat, straight lines, okay? At this time, I would group my kids, 1 high student to 2 low students. Once they are finished with that, we would come back and we would discuss their findings, what shape or what object they did, what the perimeter was, if they used the centimeters on the ruler or the inches, and I would like to see their work too with them adding up the sides. Also, if there was time left over, we would go grab whiteboards, markers, and erasers, and we would do a lot of practice on those. I love using whiteboards because it's an easy show and go, show me what you know type of assessment. What I would use for a assessment would be a perimeter practice Google sheet. I have it leveled depending on the student's ability. I change up the colors of my labels just so my students don't understand exactly what I'm doing. Depending on how they did during classwork, how I would group them. So we would probably do about 4 or 5 problems on a whiteboard, just so I could get a good idea of where they're at. If the students are at the lower emergent level, they would get this first worksheet, which just has them drag and create lines from the shape to the correct perimeter. If they are at the working level, they would get the same problems with one more, but I would ask them to actually solve it. For my proficient learners, they would have obviously more problems. Everything is labeled for them, and that's what's different between this assignment as well as this one. This one has some congruent symbols that my students have learned about in the past. Some of them remember them, and some of them do not, and that's why they are only on the advanced level. The yellow square is a square, so they know that all sides are the same length. That's why there's only one labeled. And the tricky part about this advanced level assignment is in this blue shape, there are sides missing, so they'll have to cut the shape into 2 different rectangles to figure out what the missing side lengths are. I have attached a key at the bottom as well as what each level means. So if I go back up here at the top, the colored codes are up here in the top left corner. The students are all given this first page with their name, and then there is a little review paper that says, what's perimeter again? Perimeter is the distance around an object. To find the perimeter, you need to add up all of the sides of a shape or object. Don't forget your label if there's one listed. Super tip. I always call my little hints or my reminders super tips. If a side is not labeled, find the missing side by looking at the opposite side if it's a rectangle. If the shape is not a rectangle, you may need to do some subtracting to find the sides. And that's more of a tip just for my advanced students. I do have an example for the students to see. My standard that I'm working with for this lesson is geometric measurement. Recognize perimeter as an attribute of plane figures and distinguish between linear and area measures. Solve real-world and mathematical problems involving perimeters of polygons, including finding the perimeter given the side length, finding an unknown side length, and exhibiting rectangles with the same perimeter in different areas or with the same area in different perimeters. After each math lesson, I like to get the kids up and moving, whether that be having them take a walk around their house, grabbing a stuffed animal to share with us. Sometimes I even let them go read to the wall if we have a passage up or something. And we also do a lot of go noodles, especially after math, to help get those wiggles out. For this assignment, I probably wouldn't allow them or give them that option just because they did use their hands to work with the paper clips, and they got up and were able to move around to measure around an object to find its perimeter.